Hi everybody, my name is Pascal Leboeuf, and we're here to talk about rhythm. Specifically, we're going to talk about odd time signatures and polyrhythms. Now, I'm sure you probably have some clue as to what an odd time signature is. It's a little bit of a confusing term because you want to say it means odd numbers, but then is 3/4 an odd time signature? Not really. I mean, technically yes, but I think when we talk about odd time signatures in jazz, we're usually talking about 5/4, 7/4, 11, 13. That's about it. You know, there are people that go further than that, but I don't think I've ever been to a jam session where somebody's called something in an odd time signature that isn't 5 or 7. So we're going to talk about kind of demystifying the practice of them, how to work on them, where to find them, who to listen to, these kinds of things. We'll try a couple different things. The first thing I want to do is just kind of let you know that odd time signatures are totally attainable. You don't have to be super advanced to be able to understand what's going on and to practice them. Every time you have a number like 5, for example, you can break it down into smaller increments. So 5 generally is broken down into 3 and a 2. A 7 is generally broken down into a 2, 2, and a 3. When I say this, I can show you what it sounds like. But I'm going to write it down first. So basically, what I was just describing, 5 is 3 and 2. And 7 you can think of as 2 plus 2 plus 3. And what this sounds like, just to make that really clear, what this sounds like, if you're clapping, is for 5, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You could try this with me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And 7, similarly, it's going to be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So as we get into this, we're going to do a lot of clapping of rhythms like this. Before we really dig into these and how they can become interesting, I want to first do some basic math. We're going to just talk about groupings. If any odd time signature can be divided into 2s and 3s, it makes sense for us to kind of get used to some things that we can do with 2s and 3s in rhythm. So first thing I want you to do, if you dare, get up and we're going to actually move around. Because we're working with rhythm, it really helps to kind of embody the rhythm, to actually feel the rhythm in some way. So you can do this with your instrument, but I like to do this to start by just walking around. So what we're going to do is we're going to try, just in 4/4, some different subdivisions of the bar, some different groupings. So the first thing I want us to do, we're going to think about a bar. A bar 4/4 has how many eighth notes in it? Well, we got 4 quarter notes, so we have 8 eighth notes. So there are a lot of different ways you can add 2s and 3s together to get 8. So I'm going to start with 3 plus 3 plus 2. That's 8. What does it sound like? To start, I'm going to mirror you. I want you to start on your left foot. So what would that be? Your left foot. And you're going to go left, left, right, right. Left, left, right, right. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. The reason we're doing this is because it helps us keep the pulse. And we're going to actually clap against this. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. This is pretty simple. You could probably do this fairly easily. We could also try different things. We could do 3 plus 2 plus 3. What's that sound like? We're going to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good. So this can get more interesting, as you can imagine. You can try different things yourself. There aren't that many options. It gets more interesting if we make it 2 bars. So let's say we're doing 2 bars of 4/4. If we had 8 eighth notes in 1 bar, then we'd have 16 in 2 bars. So how can we divide that up in an interesting way? So why don't we just double what we were doing? You could go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But then it's just like the same thing we were doing. So why don't we try something different? Why don't we try doing a mirror? We can do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And then let's mirror it and do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1. Pretty tricky, but I bet you got it. And if you didn't get it, then you could probably still count it without walking, or you could probably walk it without counting, or you could probably write a tune like this and figure out a combination of numbers that you like. So why don't we try something else? What happens if we put all the 3s at the beginning? We got 4 3s, we got 2 2s. See what that sounds like. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1. 2. Cool. Let's try one more. This one's a tricky one. I'm going to do a 3 2, and then another 3 2, and then I'm going to fill in the rest with the remaining 3s. All these are going to add up to 16, of course. So this one's fun. Ready? I'll do it a little slower. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. The faster. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2, 3. Pretty cool. We could even take this to an extreme, which we'll do later. You'll see. I promise it'll be cool. Okay, what should we do now? So now we've gotten really used to counting groupings of 2s and 3s. So now we're ready for those 5s and 7s. So, if you were here and we were in person, I would ask you, what are the divisions for 5 and 7 again? And of course, it's not set in stone, but I think most commonly, once again, I'll say 5 is 3 plus 2, 7 is 2, 2, 3. Okay, so what do we do with this information? Well, if you're playing a song, if you want to get to a point where you can play a song in an odd time signature, a really helpful thing to think about is what we call a clave. Now, you may be familiar with the term clave. It's like this rhythm in Afro-Cuban music. We're talking about clave as a more general term, which is just any kind of repeated rhythm that kind of gives us the key to unlocking a song. So in the case of a 5 or a 7, you can actually use a 5 clave or a 7 clave to help you keep track of the beat and where you are in a song. So one that I really like for 5, you could just use these rhythms, but it's helpful in 5/4 to do something that looks like this. So this would sound like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now remember, If we're doing 3 and 2, it's really going to be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And I'm sure you can do that. But it's helpful for some reason to kind of add this extra beat in here. It helps you kind of keep track of where you are. So I'm going to count to 5. See if you can do this with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. An example of this might be, let's see, we'll do an experiment. I'll get to the 5, you'll see. Let's take a song we all know, Happy Birthday. I wonder if any of you know what time signature it's in. Don't all blurt it out. It's in 3/4. We got Happy 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, like this. So we could also do it in 4. We could change it. Which is one of the things people do when they play standards and on time signatures. So we could take Happy Birthday instead of going Happy 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We could do it as 1, 2, 3, 5/4. So we're going to go back to our 5/4 clave, which if you remember is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Kind of hear how the song cadences in a different time signature. And I feel like there's something that we can kind of get used to. It's something you can get used to doing. Same way, putting Happy Birthday from 3/4 to 4/4 is kind of intuitive. If you practice odd time signatures, you can kind of get used to doing it with those too. So I guess maybe I'll play you a little bit of a standard in an odd time signature. We've spent some time talking about 5. Why don't we talk about 7? So 7 is a little more straightforward. The clave is basically what it is here. So if we're in 7/4, we can just go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. If you want to get fancy, you could even do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, something like that. Let's see here. Whoop. So this would be if we did it 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. But if I break this up like we did with the 5, we can even do this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, like that. So I'm going to do that with a standard called Alone Together. So I'll count it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again. time to be able to do that. The way I got used to it was basically using a metronome or an app or something that would keep me honest with the beat. So if you put a metronome on quarter notes, you can do 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, or you can do 7, like I was just doing. And it really helps to kind of use a metronome. Another thing you can do is put it at half notes. So then you'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what that does is it makes it line up every other time. So you have to work extra hard to kind of get used to it. But something about lining it up like that makes it easier because you get used to the larger phrase. You can also cut it in half. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like little fives within it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are a lot of little tricks you can use when you're practicing this stuff. It also really helps to listen to people that are doing this. And some of the best people to listen to, well, there are a lot of great people, of course, but some of my personal favorites are Brad Meldau. He's a great jazz pianist. He is I believe he has a recording of All the Things You Are in 7 that you can listen to online. Ari Honig is another really great odd time signature person. I also really like people who compose with odd time signatures, like Anna Weber, saxophone player. Bassist Linda O is really wonderful performer, composer. Dana Stevens, of course. Justin Brown, Marcus Gilmore. These are some people that you can check out, and I'll make sure to write them down so that you can see their names and look them up if you're interested. So enough about odd time signatures. Now let's talk about polyrhythms. So what is a polyrhythm? We could look at the word polyrhythm, and it's pretty clear. Poly means many or multiple, and rhythm means rhythms. So it means multiple rhythms are happening at the same time. So what this means is specifically pulses, so regularly occurring beats are happening within the same period, but maybe a different number of pulses within that period. It would look something like this. So if I have this much space, I can divide it into 2 parts, or I can divide it into 3 parts. And the way this would sound would be, 2 over 3. So if you're in 3/4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. One thing that's helpful when you're working with polyrhythms is to figure out what the composite rhythm is. That's when you add them both together. So in this case, it would look like that. It's kind of hard to see. I'll write it out as a rhythm for you. It would look like that in 3/4. So you have da 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 da, and you can either play the 3s, or you can play the 2s, as in 2 beats within the space. And it's fun when you figure out what the composite rhythm is. You can come up with a phrase that helps you remember it. This one is it's one of the more simple polyrhythms. So if you're in 3/4, you can say, not very hard, not very hard, not very hard, not very hard. And it's a little bit easier. It's not as hard as you can imagine. Let's see. There are also some other common polyrhythms that we can talk about. So we just did 2 over 3. Let's also do 4 over 3. So this one has a fun composite rhythm. You say, pass the gosh darn butter, pass the gosh darn butter. If we're in 3/4, 1, 2, 3. Pass the gosh darn butter, pass the gosh darn butter. fun one. We could even get more advanced. This one's a little bit tricky, so I don't expect you to necessarily be able to do this right away. A more advanced one is 4 over 5. Oh, here we go. We're into odd time signature zone here. So this one sounds kind of like if we're in 5/4, because this is the number of beats, right? So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. And what we can do is we can say, hey, buddy, can you spare a dime? Hey, buddy, can you spare a dime? We go, hey, buddy, can you spare a dime? 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 See if you can clap one of these or the other one as a group with me for now. So if I'm going to do 4 over 5, hey, buddy, can you spare a dime? So it's pretty easy if you're just doing one of them, but if you have to clap them together, it takes a little bit of work. And there's a way to do it. There's a system for figuring out how to get any of these things to work, for any two numbers, really. So how do you do it? Well, basically, you're looking at this top number and this bottom number. I'm reading it as a number over a number. What this means here is we're basically saying this is the number of beats. And this, I'll explain this, I'll show you in a second to make it more clear, so bear with me here, is how much you divide, let's see, divisions of the beat. This is how many divisions you divide each beat into in order to figure out what the grid is for you to figure out the polyrhythm. I'll show you in a second. Like I said, bear with me. And then you can also use this number to figure out basically what you accent in order to find this many numbers. So this is a little confusing. I'm just going to leave it here and you'll see what I mean. I'm running out of room here, so I'm going to erase this. We're going to look at these polyrhythms using this trick. And this is pretty fancy stuff. So, if it's a little tricky, don't worry. This is some advanced stuff here, so be proud of yourself if you made it this far. So basically, if we're looking at something like this, we've got 3 beats, right? If we divide each of those beats into 2, which would mean, so this is, we're in 3/4. We divide each of these beats, in these quarter notes, into eighth notes. That tells me that this is our grid, an eighth note grid. So this is 3 beats. Divisions is the number of divisions, so we're doing 3/2 right now, right? So this is the number of beats. We're dividing each beat into 2 parts. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then if we accent, back to the bottom number again, every 3 beats, we end up with the polyrhythm we want. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're grouping these in 3s, and that's kind of how it works. Let's try it with these other ones. So, we can do this. Let's see here. 4 over 3 is what we're going to do now. So, first thing we need to do is figure out how many beats. 4 over 3. We're going to be in 3/4. So, again, we got 3 beats. Okay. It's 4 over 3. So we have to divide each beat into 4 parts. So we're going to make some 16th notes here. I hope you can see that. If you can't, I'll still explain it verbally. So we divided each beat into 4 parts. 3 beats into 4 parts. And now we're going to accent every third part. Boom, 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 and boom. And we end up with 1, 2, 3. Our grid is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 16th notes. We're going to do every third one of those. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Pass the gosh darn butter. Pass the gosh darn butter. Pretty cool. Let's do the 5. All right. We're going to do 4 over 5. We're going to do 5 beats in a bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I'm doing this one upside down. Cool. Hope you like it upside down. Okay, we're going to divide each beat, like we did with the 3s, into 4 parts. So, 16th notes. Last one here. Okay, now all we have to do is accent every 5th note. So we're going to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 5 E and a. This is a little sloppy to look at, so it helps me to think about it like the downbeat, 1 right after beat 2, 1 in the middle of beat 3, and then 1 at the very end of beat 4. So we end up going through the 16th notes. If you look at all these 4 groupings, we end up with the first one in the grouping of 4, then the second one in the grouping of 4, then the third one in the grouping of 4, fourth one in the grouping of 4, and then the 5th beat is free and clear. So what this ends up sounding like is real slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our grid is 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 5 E and a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I count 5s, I like to use the word hippopotamus. You go hippopotamus, 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 hippopotamus. Hippopotamus, 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 like that. We can do our words. Hey, buddy, can you spare a dime? Hey, buddy, can you spare a dime? And that's how you get 5/4 polyrhythm. You could do the same thing if you want to get fancy. I'm not going to do it now, but you could do stuff like, here's a good one. You could do 3 over 5, and what that does is it involves dividing each beat into a triplet. So you end up with like 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The excitement is endless. You could do 4 over 7, you could do 3 over 7. Those are all some good ones to try if you want to get super nerdy. And kind of finish things up here, let's see. I think what I'm going to do is kind of bring everything together with some practical applications. So, what are you going to do with all of this information? Well, you can actually use it on tunes. You can use segments of polyrhythms. You can use segments of polyrhythms in 4/4, or maybe in an odd time signature tune if you've practiced a whole bunch, so that's pretty fancy. I'd stick to trying things like, let's say you're playing the blues. So we got a blues. Blues is 12 bars. Let's see, each bar is got 8 eighth notes in it. So you could multiply 8 by 12, and then you could divide that into 3s, and it all works out. I'm not going to do the math right now. But basically, if you're playing blues, you can play dotted quarters. beat is. You can even do it with an odd rhythm like 5. So we could do something like. You could do 7s, you know. See how long you can hang on. And it's a really fun thing to do when you're improvising. Let's see here. You could also compose songs with polyrhythms or odd time signatures. You know, let's say you're doing these polyrhythm exercises that we were putting together, and you really like them. You could use one of those as the basis for a composition. It would be super cool. Or you could do what Meshuggah does, which is like a really cool, like, I don't know what to call them, prog metal or something like this. They do a lot of cool rhythmic stuff. And I'm going to kind of show you, to finish up, I'm going to show you a piece that they did that kind of brings all these ideas together. It's called I Am Colossus, and it uses this like really cool, basically combination of groupings that all fit into 96. So they're in 12/8. So basically what you end up having are, let's see, I think it would be 8 bars of 12/8 is 96. And they came up with this series of numbers. I'm going to write it down, and then I'm going to play the song for you. And I'm going to point at the numbers, and you'll see how cool it is. Okay, we got 5, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, and then we got 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, and then another one of those 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, and then to finish up we got another one of these 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 2, with a little 4 plus 3 at the end to make it interesting. Okay, that's the phrase. Adds up to 96. Here's what it sounds like. I'll play it for you and I'll point so that you don't have to listen to me count. I'm the great Leviathan, insatiable colossus, titanicking over all lives. I reward you, observe you. I'm the monstrous mouth that I use for your own. Immense constructionless, I owe you, disown you. And it just keeps going. Pretty awesome. The music video is super creepy too. I hope you like it, and I hope you've enjoyed talking about odd time signatures and polyrhythms with me. This has been a wonderful experience, and go listen to music. Okay, that's all. Bye.